Ukraine, as you promised.
Arm Ukraine as you promised.
Arm Ukraine, as you promised.
Arm Ukraine as you promised.
Tribunal for Russian war criminals.
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 Let Ukraine strike back.
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 My friends, unfortunately today is not a day of celebration. Today is a day of mourning. 1,000 days since the full-scale war began. Although we all know very well that this war did not begin 1,000 days ago, it began all the way back in 2014. That is when the crimes truly began. However, that is not when the Russian deceit began. All the way back, when the Budapest Memorandum was signed, Ukraine received assurances from many countries in this world, among them the USA, among them the United Kingdom, among them Russia. But of course, a treaty with Russia is not worth the paper on which it is signed. That is a popular saying nowadays in Ukraine. That is something everyone around the world should know. My friends, Russia has violated the Budapest Memorandum, in which Ukraine has made the greatest sacrifice in human history in order to achieve world peace. Now, if Russia wins in Ukraine, then every single small or big dictator around the world will start their own wars. They will arm themselves with nukes and they will feel untouchable. That is, my friends, avoidable. Avoidable by remembering the old Roman saying, arms keep peace. It is not mean words of condemnation or kind words of appeasement that prevent Russia from invading Europe. It is Ukraine. Ukraine is in the way of this terror tide in the east. Ukraine is in the way of a full collapse of the free world. Ukraine is in the way of a return to the past, a return to the Soviet Union and to their mentality, to the mentality of Nazi Germany, of Soviet Union, to the return of medieval ideologies. That, my friends, is the rich Russian culture. That is what they bring to the table. There can be no negotiations with the Russian terrorist regime on their terms. We cannot be dealing them like we did before. Not again. After the war began, after Russia annexed Crimea, after Russia started a war in Donbass, there were two Minsk agreements signed between Ukraine and Russia. In both, Ukraine agreed to sacrifice its lands, its rightful lands, and the people who lived there, just to stop the bloodshed. But that was not enough for Russia. They betrayed them both. The second one, they betrayed it less than a day after it was signed. They betrayed the Budapest Memorandum, the biggest nuclear disarmament in human history, done because the Ukrainians trusted the international community, done because the Ukrainians trusted the word of the world. Look what's made of that word now. For the Russians do not speak the same words as the rest of the world. Russia only speaks one language, and that is the language of power. They will push until they are pushed back. That is the only negotiation they will understand. And to all the fools, the appeasers, the Russophiles, who shake in their boots and scream and shout, "Oh, nuclear war! We can't have that!" My friends, this city in which we are right now houses perhaps one of the biggest communities of the children of those same Russian oligarchs who are sponsoring this war. Do you really expect that these people who are so scared for their pockets would simply throw their children under the bus? Never. They care for themselves, you see. Not for their people, not for the world, but for their own hide. For those who are closest to them. That's what they care for. That's what we need to understand. There were many red lines painted on this world's canvas by the Russian terrorist regime. Most of them with the blood of the innocents, with the blood of the Ukrainian people. And why is it that Ukraine has to bear the burden so that the rest of the free world can have safe politics? Because indeed, my friends, it is politics that's getting in the way of an ending to this war. It's politics that's getting in the way of provisions of arms for Ukraine. It's politics that gives power to Russia, as they've learned how to use the weaknesses of democracy against the democracies of this world. Russia doesn't have that problem, you see. Their leader bangs his fist on the table and says, this is how it will be. But in the West, my friends, there's Viktor Orbán's, there's Robert Fico's, there's Tucker Carlson's, there's Marjorie Taylor Greene's. There's individuals who are bribed by Russia and who preach exactly what Russia preaches. And then they claim, oh no, I'm not against Ukraine, but for peace. Ask them. Ask them what's their plan for peace. Ask them how they will achieve it. They will not. They can't achieve it, my friends. Because that's never their plan. Their plan is to stay in power. And we must understand that very well. Another Minsk agreement with Russia, another Budapest memorandum with Russia, another Ukraine-Russia friendship treaty with Russia is not only stupid, is not only destructive, it's suicidal. Not only for Ukraine, but for the whole free world. Just hours ago, we've been made aware that Putin has changed the way their nuclear doctrine works. Now, according to them, they can strike a non-nuclear country with nuclear weapons as long as they claim that they are getting help from a nuclear country. That, my friends, is a new episode of Putin's magic words and magic language. Same kind of language he used when he called this war a special military operation. Same kinds of words that he used when he started preaching and prancing all over the place, saying, oh, there were promises, you see, promises to the Soviet Union for NATO to not expand to the east. My friends, no such treaties were ever made. And I guess Putin forgot the meaning of the word sovereign, which is what he admitted that Ukraine is. I remember this video long ago of Putin speaking and mocking the idea of Russia invading Crimea. How the tables have turned, truly. Now, it feels like it's a completely different Putin. Maybe he is, some people would say it is. Although we're not here to delve into possibilities, my friends. We are here to send a clear and simple message. Negotiations with Russia, fine, but from a position of strength, from a position of dominance, because that is the only thing that Russia understands. That is the only thing that Russia respects. That is the only language in which we can speak with them, even when we are arranging peace. So in the name of those who have died, my friends, in the name of those who have suffered, let's remember that. Let's remember that it is us who need to send this message to everyone. Let's remember we have that power in this free country that we live in. Let's not forget that. So let's come here to our rallies. I welcome you all. I thank you for coming here today. And I remind you that we also have our rallies here on Wednesdays at 6, Fridays at 6, Sundays at 3. Here at 10 Downing Street. Please, come and show your support, my friends. And in the end, we will win. All together, we will win.
All together, we will win.
All together, we will win.
All together, we will win.
All together, we will win.
All together, we will win.
Russia is a terrorist state.
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 Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава нації!
Смерть москалям!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Героям України тричі!
Слава! Слава! Слава!
Ворогам України тричі!
Смерть! Смерть! Смерть!
Дякую.
Thank you very much.